Behind silk tie lies you send our children to fight your evil wars. When it comes to fighting on yourselves, you hide behind rich connection doors. You ignore homeless veterans, call heroes traitors who refuse to kill. Maybe Jesus will forgive you, but America never will. No, we'll never, ever forgive you, not in a million years, nor generations who outlive you, drowning in a million tears. You sacrifice our children's future as Babylon's whore drinks a bloody field.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Annette Mendel, co-host of Humanity Matters, and tonight's episode is called We're Back. And I want to introduce to you our host of tonight's show, Albert Torcaso.
Hi, everyone. We are back. Last month, due to vehicle repairs and a bad transmission, we won't go there. My transmission broke down 3 times in a row in less than a month. Yeah, transmission 3 times. Not good. Any rate, we weren't here in January, so it's been 2 months. I want to tell you, though, in those 2 months, major things has transpired. And so tonight, I'm giving a disclaimer. Again, I need you to understand that I am going to be telling you some things that, quite frankly, can scare you to death. I don't want you to be afraid. You're going to get angry. It's okay. Not at me, but at what I'm going to tell you. And that's fine. You may get paranoid. That's not fine. Because I'm going to tell you some amazing things that, quite honestly, I did not believe them until I saw that they were factual, bona fide, factual, evidential information. I didn't believe it. I thought that the people telling me this, not to be ignorant, I thought they were psychotic. And I'm not picking on anybody who are in recovery of anything. But it's what I'm going to tell you tonight sounds like paranoia, sounds like conspiracy theory, sounds so far out of there that it does not even sound real. But the sad, disgusting, horrendous truth is that everything I'm going to tell you tonight is 100% real, and it's happening in the United States of America. Now, it gives you a reason to be extremely afraid, paranoid, running in the streets almost. But let me tell you something. You're not going to do that. Not because I'm your boss, but because, my friends, I'm going to give you the fright. I'm going to give you the treasonous acts that we're going to talk about that occurred. But my friends, I'm not going to leave you hanging in fear. We have nothing to fear but fear itself. Just like it was said back in World War II, and I may be wrong, but I believe it was Winston Churchill. We don't have to fear what has gone on. But you know what? Worst case scenario. Let's say the worst case scenario were to happen. We're still going to be all right. So after I tell you these things that may make you want to scream, run, and hide, I'm going to ask you to be brave, to remain calm, to think your way out of this, and to get this problem solved. And we can do it. Now, before I tell you all of what I'm going to tell you, I need to tell you something very important. Not that this isn't important. A few years ago, I did a show, an episode. For those of you who've been watching for years, I had an episode, and I can't remember the name, but I spoke about how if they outlawed same-sex marriage, because of our Constitution, eventually every marriage that ever was deemed legal in America, including heterosexual marriages, everyone since the beginning of this country would eventually become null and void. And when I said that, everybody thought I was crazy, and they said, mother blanker, and they were mad. They said, what do you mean if we don't allow same-sex marriages that my marriage is going to be invalid? What the heck's wrong with you? And I explained to people that because of the way the Constitution is written, you cannot have unfair, unequal laws. So I said that eventually this ban on same-sex marriage is going to be declared unconstitutional. Well, on my way into the studio today in my vehicle, I was listening to KQV 1410 AM, and they came on with a report. A federal appeals court has just come down with a ruling that the ban on gay marriage in California is unconstitutional. Now, I tell you that not to get you upset about the gay marriage, not to have you start thinking I'm going to talk about gay marriage, because that's not what tonight's about. I give you that to let you know that even though I'm not considered an expert, I'm not an attorney, I don't have a communications or journalism degree or any of that right now. And so some people say, who are you to make these comments? You don't have the credentials. Well, you know, they are incorrect. I don't have the credentials, excuse me for the flub, don't have the credentials. But you know what? I am an expert at certain things. And when it comes to knowing what is right, I'm an expert. And the point of bringing up that it has been declared unconstitutional to ban same-sex marriage in California is so that you have a compass and a reference to know that I know what I'm speaking about. I made those pronunciations or pronouncements more than 2 years ago, and I was right. And I'm not here to say I told you so, but I'm here to tell you that when I tell you tonight what's going on and why it is an extremely frightening situation, I want you to know that you can rely on the information that I give you, because I do make sure it is accurate and it is evidence. And yeah, I'm going to tell you some things that are going to terrify you, and I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to terrify you because, quite frankly, I'm ticked off. I'm not scared, but I'm a little bit ticked off. Now, again, this is not something I want to do. Can't believe I'm actually having to do this. But I'm not worried. I'm not worried, my friends. My fellow Pittsburghers, Pennsylvanians, and Americans, guess what? There's a lot of bad stuff going on in Washington, D.C. And they are, well, we're going to get to that later. But here's the most important thing. Stay with this episode, because it may mean the difference in life and death, literally, in this country. But stay with this episode, because while you are going to be terrified, possibly, I will, before the end of this episode, give you hope and tell you how we're going to change the course that they have decided to give us in Washington, D.C. We are going to bring back what they have taken from us, and we're going to do it peacefully and legally. And above all, we're going to do it peacefully. With all that, I know it took like 85 minutes, but with all that,